Welcome to a hardcore Nuzlocke of my very own game, Pokémon Golden Shield. This is a ROM hack of HeartGold where the Pokédex, the moves, the abilities and items are from Generation 8. Got it? Then let's Nuzlocke it. It's a pretty vanilla game, to be honest. Shouldn't need to try that hard to beat it, that's why we'll play with the following rules. 1. You can only catch the first Pokémon in each new location. If it runs away, or if I do, then that's it. 2. If a Pokémon faints, it is never used again. 3. No items in battle, that means no healing and no X items. And 4. We play on set mode at all times, so we can't switch out freely. Well then, let's enter the world of Golden Shield. So, right off the bat, after being introduced to the world of Pokemon, we get our very first new flavor of Johto as we get to choose our starter. Now, because of my track record of beating Nuzlocks isn't really great, I'm going to make this easy on myself. Between Scorbunny, Grookey, and Sobble, we are grabbing the Fire Bunny and we're gonna roast the Johto leaders to cinders. As a heads up, the naming scheme throughout this Nuzlocke is entirely vibe based, so the first thing that comes into my head is what I'll go with. I name him Janusz, after a YouTuber, and I leave the slab with a new partner walking by my side. Before the game actually starts, we have to travel to Mr. Pokemon's house to grab an egg. We do so, and immediately hurry back so we can grab some balls to officially start this Nuzlocke. But before then, a redhead guy tries to ruin my fun with his Sobble, except nothing's going to get between me and catching Galarian Mons in Johto. At the time of recording this, I was having a rather hard time with a cold, so spiritually, I name my rival Flu and swear to fight this enemy until my last breath. Oh look, no catching tutorial in this game. Thanks game. I must have been so worn out from my fight with Flu that I stared down my first encounter on Route 28, a Natu, and I watch it burn before I even realized that I should have caught it. The first Pokemon we catch is a Nickit. I name it People, and its stats seem okay, but this fox really struggles in the early game, I'll tell you that. With no time to waste, I missed the chance to catch a Galarian Zigzagoon as this dopey raccoon shuns away my balls, down to the last one. The joke's on him as I go to buy more and catch another Zigzagoon I named Farce on Route 46. I also catch Splash the Roly-Coly in Dark Cave and Mozart the Duskull in Sprout Tower. I go to Route 32 for a fourth encounter, but I did not expect that this Chewtle would cause so many problems. It just didn't want to get into any ball I threw at it, and by the time I got down to low health, I threw Mozart out, who had to take 2 water guns while this Chewtle refused to join my cult. On 2 HP, I figure that the best way I can survive is if I throw a Pokeball, but Chewtle disrespects my final invitation to the team by taking Mozart out before she has a chance to haunt the first gym. We go back to the Pokemon Center to lay her to rest in a cozy PC box, then we get back to Sprout Tower. At the top, the Flu has already begun infecting the Elder, who tells it that spreading hate is not the way. Between my Fire Rabbit and the Dark-type Fox, People, we are able to show love to the Elder's Applins and Natu, so he gives us Giga Drain before we can even reach the first gym. It's fine guys, it's not overpowered. How much damage can Giga Drain do to Falkner or Bugsy? Speaking of which, Falkner sends out a Noibat. Splash sets up speed with a rapid spin, whilst Noibat goes for a screech. I pretend not to hear it and clobber Noibat with some rocks. Natu comes in only to suffer the same fate, then suddenly, it's time for Falkner's ace, Rookidee. It survives my smackdown on 1 HP, and whilst I am -3 down on defense, Falkner throws the game by setting up with a Hone Claws. By the way, gym leaders don't use potions in this game. It's annoying, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't work anyway. But that concludes a deathless first gym. Nice one. He gives us the Zephyr badge and the Roost TM, just like in the base game. I go to grab the egg from the professor's aide, but since I haven't coded this properly, I'll just hide my incompetency away in the PC. Meanwhile, if you've played Sword and Shield, comment down below what you think the egg could be. So now I have to publicly embarrass myself by revealing to you that whilst I was fighting youngster Albert, he sends out a Noibat, against which I fire off a very unwise double kick. Noibat confuses Janusz, but I stay in with a quick attack as it screeches me, and then I lose 32 HP all in one go as I hit myself, allowing for a single gust to knock me out. But that was bad, even for my own Nuzlocking standards. To try and make things easier, I grab the HM for Rock Smash, and because we don't need to teach HMs to Pokemon in this game, I go to pummel a rock that blocks our access to the Shell Bell. Now we have to relive our trauma by encountering a Noibat in Union Cave, and we name it Trying. It's vibe based, remember? Getting out of the cave, we catch Cool the Morpeko at night on Route 33, and then we see our first sight of Team Rocket causing havoc, so we alert the village granddad and go after them, but not before catching Interesting the Slowpoke. Proton's Noibat and Wimpod is no match for our Trying, so we train up to the level cap of 17, and we go to take on Bugsy. Against Wimpod, Splash is safe to raise its speed with Rock Polish, but we miss our first smackdown from the Sand Attack and take a decent chunk from 80 base power Leech Life. Next is Joltik, which dodges our smackdown again and brings us down to half. I am not safe to switch, but all of these Leech Lives are doing so much damage to Splash. I feel the pressure to stay in, as I don't want anyone else on my team to have to take serious damage. But to counter Bugsy's ace, Dottler, I send out Trying, which lands a critical hit wing attack before Reflect comes up. Another wing attack barely misses the kill, and the confusion leaves us in another tricky position. I have learned from the last time I dealt with confusion, so I go to people which should be able to avoid confusion, and as weak as People is, he was able to jab with a quick attack at the end of the battle, marking the second time that People has actually contributed to the team's success. Bugsy now gives us the badge along with Leech Life, which is a huge asset to have on the team right now. But so is Splash, as she evolves into a beautiful Carkol and takes on the fire type role that was left behind by Janusz. Right as we're about to enter Ilex Forest, we feel a scratch down the back of our throat, a slight fever approaching. It's none other than our flu, but the immune system that is my team is quite strong. In Ilex Forest, we catch Sneaky the Impidimp, as well as catching the Galarian Farfetch'd on the loose. Making our way through the canopy, we think we spot the presence of the Forest Protector who is watching us from afar. You'll have to download the game if you want to find out who it is. But that's not as important as getting to Goldenrod's radio tower to take their quiz so we can impress Whitney, who will now give us a shot at her gym. But first is this trainer in the gym who casually caught a Drampa from Dark Cave, trained it to level 17, and is now threatening our team after a berserk boost as well. Sneaky gets to come out on a stab echoed voice, but I'm faster, and I can outshine the Drampa with a dazzling gleam that we just picked up on Route 34. Whitney was fine. Squavit comes out, which was going to run a Stuffed Cheeks moveset, but neither the move nor the Cheek Pouch ability is coded at the moment. Even so, it can take 3 whole hits from Splash before going down. Now despite only having 2 Pokemon, this fight is not straightforward, as she sends in Indeedee, so her fighting coverage is backed up by stab Psybeams. To prevent Indeedee tearing through the team, I let off a smokescreen before switching to People, who is unaffected by Psybeam. We just learned Snarl not too long ago, and it is a game changer, lowering Indeedee's special attack so Hyper Voice doesn't do so much. And with that, the plain badge is ours with a shiny TM for Hyper Voice to go with it. Now with Whitney's badge and the ability to use Rock Climb outside of battle, I go to the National Park and pick up an Eviolite, as I know that Morty uses one and it's only equitable that we get the same resources. To get to Ecruteak, we have to make it rain on a weird 1,146 pound slab of rock that somehow made its way to Route 36. Maybe it's alive, maybe that's how Stonehenge works, who knows. But with that out of the way, we can go and catch a Klefki on Route 36, which I name Was Close because it used Fairy Wind on Cool and almost took him out. My bad, Cool. Making our way to get more encounters at the burned tower, we immediately walk into a miasma that makes us cough and sneeze. Oh, never mind. It's just Flu, our rival, but we have an easy time sanitizing the place, and his team doesn't quite have the right move pool to deal with our people and Splash. We catch a coughing which can evolve with some friendship. In its dex entry, we see that it causes constant sniffles, coughs, teary eyes. Why does that remind me of someone? We enter some weird ritual downstairs, and I think we disrupt it. But this guy, Eugene, says that I did something special, so I'm happy. And the gym, honestly, it's no problem. Turns out that having a nasty plotting fox dominates the cursed rock, the teapot, and the bleached coral reef. But before taking on Chuck, there are many new places we can train. Making our way through Mount Mortar, we catch a Clobberpuss and grab a couple of useless items before landing in Mahogany Town. But on Route 42, a hiker challenges us to a battle, and the Larvitar screeches poor interesting down to -2 defense. What comes out next is a Trapinch with the possibility of having Arena Trap as an ability. We have to push our luck, and it turns out that it has Hypercutter. Getting out of the battle made me realize that it's really time for Slowpoke to evolve. Whilst we can get Galarian Slowbro around level 32, Interesting's nature really doesn't mix well with Slowbro's 100 base, physical and special attack. So we go to Slowpoke Well and grab the King's Rock, which we can use as an evolution stone to get Galarian Slowking. Now we can do some serious damage to Chuck's team. I also explore Union Cave, coming out to the ruins of Alph and catching a Mime Jr., which I name Restless. I immediately evolve it into Galarian Mr. Mime with an Ice Stone from the Goldenrod shopping mall. Going to the lighthouse, we reach the top where Jasmine is nursing a sickly Heliolisk named Healy. If Jasmine is to battle me, we need to get Healy its medicine from Signwood Pharmacy. Before making our way across the ocean, I make sure to give Silver a haircut in Goldenrod in an effort to evolve it to Galarian Weezing. This will be an absolute threat to Chuck, and later Claire and Karen. But before taking on Chuck, we test our strength against Eugene, and I was not prepared for the pressure his 3 Pokemon would put on our team. He sends out an Oranguru, which has impressive coverage with Brick Break. Next, it's his Pink Urchin, which causes a mayhem with paralysis, bringing our team low. When Trevenant comes in, I realize that the combination of Ghost and Grass type moves could finish off one of our Pokemon if we switch out. Turns out, this Trevenant doesn't have Horn Leech, despite it being able to learn it. I must have coded this to be a Dusclops first, with Will-O-Wisp, Shadow Punch, Shadow Claw, and Payback. This is fixed now, so you can feel the full wrath of this possessed tree in your playthrough. Fighting through Chuck's black belts, we arrive at the fighting type gym leader himself. He sends out a Grapploct, but Silver makes quick work of it with an expert belt boosted Dazzling Gleam. And our plus speed nature makes it so that we don't take any damage this turn. Beware goes down the same way, prompting Chuck to send out a level 31 rapid style Urshifu. However, between Stab Aquajet and Headbutt, there isn't much that this water fighting bear can do to Silver, sealing its fate with a single Dazzling Gleam. Well, that wasn't as hard as I thought. We pick up the gym badge and the TM for body press, and we can now use Waterfall outside of battle. Very fitting for a man who trains under waterfalls. Chuck also sends us on an errand to defeat the Karate King in Mount Mortar, with the promise of giving us something special. However, I will leave this as a surprise for you to discover. His wife outside also gives us the HM for Fly, the only other HM other than Surf that actually needs to be taught in this game. We fly to Mahogany and go to the Lake of Rage to catch the Lilac Serpent that everyone is barking on about. Before we do that, we grab a cool TM for Mystical Fire that no one can learn, and one of the best items in the game, the Choice Specs. It turns out to be a shiny Milotic, which is a really cool shiny, and we catch it. It's got a great nature with plus special defense and minus speed, making it an absolute tank. But I'm fairly happy with my team at the moment, so in the box it goes. Lance and his Dragapult recruit us to fight the Team Rocket goons that are emitting strange radio signals from Mahogany Town. He launched a casual fire blast at the clerk to the side and probably threatens this guy's mother before uncovering the secret passageway to Team Rocket's hideout, where we farm as much XP as we can. On the trap floor, Team Rocket plants both Unovan and Galarian Stunfisk to catch us, but it turns out that we catch a Unovan Stunfisk. I would have preferred a Galarian one instead because I'm a fan of its design, but Minerva will be an incredible asset against Jasmine, as I have had no luck catching fire or ground types on my team. Rather than clearing the hideout, I go to train on Route 43 instead, evolving our feeble Noibat named Trying into something more like doing or wrecking. This Noivern is not only fast, but it has access to a huge diverse move pool, and it is sure to earn its slot on this team. After our training, we realize that we never got the medicine for Jasmine and have been letting her poor old Healy suffer whilst we've been decimating the local Bolt Hunt population around Mahogany. After Healy gets better, we take on Jasmine. We lead with Minerva, who can take out Klefki with a Choice Specs Mud Bomb right in the keys. Durant comes out with big plans to dig into our electric type Pancake, but we swap into Trying to leverage our flying type and dodge the incoming attack. Missing an Iron Head, I realize that Durant has Hustle, meaning we can stall out with Roost until we have the right opportunity to hit back. Leaving it on red, I decide to go for a not very effective Dragon Pulse in favour of accuracy, as missing a fly would end our team. We have to swap out as a menacing level 35 Copperaja comes out. We switch with Minerva into a not very effective Iron Head, which still does massive damage, and we take a Bulldoze next, leaving us in the red. As a Mud Bomb brings down the elephant to 30%, we see that not many of our team would like the sound of getting bulldozed, except People, who is still on full health and raring to go. Our speed doesn't get dropped as Copperaja has sheer force, but our best move, Snarl, is not nearly enough for the kill, and our beloved Fox goes down to a body press. Thank you for carrying us through Whitney and Morty. Because of you, we can finish it off with a Flame Charge and earn the Mineral Badge and the TM for Ironhead. Now with Jasmine beaten, I'm sure the prize is going to be a real challenge. But wait, since when have Ice-type gym leaders ever been a challenge? Well, that all changes here. Price uses Hail items effectively to cover weaknesses and ensure his frail ice types can land at least one move before going down. He has diverse move pools, and he uses Hail effectively to make sure Blizzard never misses and to activate abilities like Snow Cloak. His starting Pokemon is the defensive, specially attacking Glaceon. Whilst there isn't much that Glaceon can hit us with, it is good at stalling us, whilst we miss 2 body presses in a row because of Snow Cloak. Not only that, but our attack is so low that Splash cannot even touch this Glaceon, forcing us to switch out before we sustain too much chip damage. Silver comes in next to take a Shadow Ball to the chimney, but that's when our special defense drops, making it risky to stay in. I know that we need to remove this threat now, as I have 2 Psychic types that do not want to take a Shadow Ball, so we stay in to hit a Sludge Bomb that takes Glaceon down to a third before it knocks us out with a non-Hail Blizzard. This was a really sad death, as Silver did so much for our team and would have been an amazing asset for the rest of the playthrough with its Fairy type and its Levitate ability. We take it out with a Psybeam, but this baits in Galarian Darmanitan with the Zen Mode ability, so you already know it has a super effective Fire type move. This is why I wanted to save Splash for later, as she is a perfect counter for Darmanitan. On switching in, Splash tanks a bite, taking her down to 55 health. Our luck turns for the worse when a critical hit Icicle Crash actually flinches us and we drop down to 24 HP. There is no point switching out, as no one on our team could realistically take 2 hits from this monster. We stay in, and luck comes back to our side as a second Icicle Crash misses, allowing us to get a Flame Charge to boost our speed and take Darmanitan below half health. In hindsight, a Body Press might have sealed the deal, But now we are messing with a much faster and much harder hitting Darmanitan, so the next bite takes out Splash, which has been with us from the beginning, taking on both Faulkner, Bugsy and Whitney. You won't be forgotten, Splash. The fight takes an interesting turn when I send out Sneaky the Morgrem, as I had not planned to use him at all in this fight. The reason is not only because we are holding an Eviolite and can tank and move the best out of any team members, but we also have a priority Sucker Punch, so the monster finally goes down and we are left with a Galarian Mr. Mime. Like my very own Restless, Price's Mime will have Dazzling Gleam, but I stay in and get brought down to half health before unleashing a false surrender that leaves us on just a sliver. We replay our old trick of sucker punching the Mime out of this circus and we are met with Ice Cube, Price's final Pokemon. Now the trick with Ice Cube is that they don't tend to be a threat in their Ice Face form, so as long as we don't use physical moves, we can keep its attack and speed nerfed whilst we take the win with Restless. I told you Price wouldn't be a pushover. He gives us a gym badge and the TM for Hail, but we leave the gym with our head low as we walk out with two of our most beloved team members going to the PC. This is when I realized that I could have farmed for more encounters on the new routes 47 and 48 that just opened up, and I could have used, I don't know, Surfetched and Torkoal, perfect Ice-type destroyers? Oh well. Whilst we're getting more encounters, we also run into a Tootle in Cliff Edge Gate, which brings us bad memories of the sworn enemy that took out Mozart the Duskull, way back on Route 32. We finally get to catch a Tootle, and out of everything I have in the box, I really think that the resistances of a rock and water type are important for our team right now. Upon leveling up, it immediately evolves into a strong jaw Dreadnought, and with a few more levels, he'll be ready to crush the hopes and dreams of trainers all around the region. Anyway, after we left the gym in Mahogany Town, Professor Elm let us know that we should probably go to Goldenrod City and sort out the Rocket Goons from spreading propaganda live on air. We fight through the radio tower until we arrive to the 5th floor where Petrol is impersonating the director of the radio tower. He challenges us to a battle with 5 coughing and 1 Galarian wheezing, but a choice spec Psybeam is all that it takes to end his career. He tells us that the director is actually being guarded in the Goldenrod Underground, so he freely gives us the underground key, giving Jesse and James a run for their money as the worst Team Rocket employees. But now we have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 more boss fights coming up ahead, and they are not a walk in the park. In the underground, a disease has spread as Flu enters and challenges us to a battle. He is frustrated about Lance telling him that without love, he can never become the strongest trainer. We make quick work of him, although his Ace Inteleon outspeeds even our Noivern and hits with a 90 base power Surf. After we rescue the director, he gives us the access card to the tower deck, and on our way up, we fight Proton. His Ace is Golisopod. Sneaky lowers its special defense to -2, but we switch out to Trying, who can absorb most of its hits. The Razor Shell luckily misses, and we can take it out with the Choice Specs Dragon Pulse. Next is Ariana, who sends out a level 35 Sandaconda. In an effort to avoid its ground type moves, we send out Noivern, who takes it out in 2 Dragon Pulses, but not before getting paralyzed by Glare and taking 2 brutal swings. Ariana sends out an Obstagoon, but we have to switch out as we cannot tank a takedown. Our best bet is to switch into Sneaky, endure the takedown, and retaliate with a Dazzling Gleam, but it's not enough. We are at the mercy of a KO from Obstagoon, and I don't think a Sucker Punch is enough, so I do what I should have done earlier and switch into finally the Dreadnought, but Ariana pulls a surprise switch into Salazzle, which spells the end of the road for her, as there aren't really any moves I'm worried about here, so it goes down to a Rock Tomb. When Obstagoon comes back, I make an error of judgment, thinking that Obstagoon will outspeed and go for Submission, a strong fighting type attack that could take finally out. I switch into Minerva, but what actually happens is Obstagoon goes for Rest, giving me an opening to come back into finally and take the kill with Body Press. And I do outspeed, so I was just being overly cautious. But now it's time for the final showdown. Finally, we get to Archer, who is about to put us through one of the toughest battles of the game so far. He leads with Vikavolt, and I don't have a good answer for it, so I go for pure offense with Trying. After 2 Dragon Pulses, Drapion comes out and the battle slows down to me having to think carefully about each play from now on. I swap into Finally, as we are resistant to most of Drapion's moves, but what follows is the worst luck I've had this entire run. I miss a Rock Tomb and then Drapion freezes me with an Ice Fang, but we just cannot switch out to anyone else, so it's up to Finally to defrost in time. Drapion hits with a Cross Poison. We stay frozen. He then hits a Fire Fang, which may have defrosted us, only for Finally to land a very soft body press. Because at this point, I just wanted some consistent damage done to this Scorpion. My problem is that I never know what Drapion is going to go for, because now Knockoff has been used, all the other moves are not very effective. I stall with Protect, then I take a Cross Poison on the next turn, then I stall again, just to see what moves the AI goes for, but I just can't read it. And with 22 HP left, I decide enough is enough and I make a series of switches from Finally to Minerva, which shrugs off a Cross Poison and the static kicks in to paralyze Drapion. Now that we are in prime position to dispose of Drapion with a Mud Bomb, I end up missing, only to take a knockoff that brings me down to half HP. Not only that, but we still don't outspeed the paralyzed Scorpion, and we no longer have an Expert Bell to deal extra damage. With our head held high, we stay in expecting an Ice Fang, and it brings us to 31 HP, but she misses a second Mud Bomb, which almost certainly spells the game over for Minerva. At this point of the Nuzlocke, I am reminded that if a move doesn't have 100% accuracy, then it has no accuracy. We've simply missed too many Rock Tombs and Mud Bombs, costing us tough choices and sacrifices that we have to make. So I send out Interesting, believing it has the highest chance of pushing on through this battle. We get incredibly lucky with an Ice Fang that misses. We get even luckier with Parahacks, as my beliefs were confirmed and Surf barely leaves the Drapion standing. Interesting shows his loyalty to the team by surviving a knockoff, leaving us on a quarter, but we get the kill with Surf and end the reign of terror. That is, until Bisharp comes out, armed with Assurance, Dig, Slash and Metal Claw. Whilst its moveset isn't the best, this is a strong physical attacker with great defensive typing. Pretty much everyone on our team is at risk here, including Interesting, so we make a switch to Sneaky. Our plan is a weak one. We hope 50 base power Metal Claw misses, or that our Eviolite pulls through and keeps us standing for at least 2 hits. But we are wrong, as it does massive damage, almost taking us into the red. I know how valuable Sneaky will be for Claire, and I cannot afford to lose another Fairy type at this stage in the game, so we switch back into Minerva, hoping to take a Metal Claw and activate Static. But Bisharp goes for Dig, and I can't help but save Minerva, and I go to trying to dodge the ground type attack. Without knowing what type Hidden Power is, I go for it over Dragon Pulse or Fly, but it ends up not being very effective. And seeing how much Assurance did, I would roost and take more hits, but I'm locked into Hidden Power by choice specs. I have to switch out, and having kept Minerva alive for as long as I did, I see now that it's time for her to meet her fate, fainting on an Assurance that assures she will never see another Mud Bomb miss ever again. Goodbye, Minerva. You really carried the team through some tough times. With your sacrifice, Finally comes in and erases Bisharp off the battlefield with a body press, and despite being on 22 HP, when Center Scorch comes out, we pray for a Rock Tomb to hit, as the Bug, Normal and Fire type moves it has cannot touch us one bit. Not only does Rock Tomb hit, but we outspeed Center Scorch too, which I never thought possible for a Dreadnought, but she really shines in this fight for her unwavering will to push forward. And with that, we can finally be safe from any more casualties. We sit here, having put an end to Team Rocket's scheme, but what did it cost us? The director comes and tries to cheer us up by giving us a rusted shield. I'm sure it's more of an insult than a reward at this point, but we take it, and we pause to reflect on how quickly the game has ramped up. Since Jasmine, we've lost people, we've lost Silver, we've lost Splash, and despite not being on the team for very long, we lost Minerva, who really made this team shine. We give her a proper send-off to the PC to rest with our comrades, but we have to persevere as the game isn't going to get any easier going forwards. We make our way through the ice path and catch a Darumaka. Coming out through the cave, we arrive at Blackthorn City, allowing us to access Route 45 where I catch a Cufant, which I name Cooper, and I proceed to train it to the level cap as I think Steel will be very useful for the Dragon-type team. To make this easier, I head on back to Mr. Pokemon's house and offer him the Lilac Scale I picked up after catching the shiny Milotic at the Lake of Rage. He gives us a lucky egg, and Cooper evolves at level 34. We train everyone until level 41, and I make a plan for the gym. As it's a double battle, just like Raihan in Sword and Shield, I want to make sure I can predict how Claire will attack and who I can switch into. Because her Milotic can't hit very hard with Stab Surf, I assume it's safe to lead with Trying, who can evade attacks in the double battle with Fly. As her partner, Restless can come in with Choice Specs to take out the Dracovish with Dazzling Gleam. This is risky, as I know Dracovish knows Iron Head, but besides covering weaknesses, it doesn't have any Stab Dragon moves, so its damage output is limited. By sending out Trying, I hope the Dracovish never goes for Bulldoze, so that Milotic should never get the competitive ability Special Attack boost. Being able to remove Dracovish from the battlefield, I expect Duraludon will come out to use Flash Cannon on Restless, or a Dragon-type move on Trying. With Duraludon's unique mixed offensive stats and moves, Interesting has a great chance to pivot in and absorb any moves of the Milotic and Duraludon with its insane special defense. But I expect that Restless will still be targeted, so a double switch might be best into something that can tank both Flash Cannon and Dragon Pulse. From there, it should be a bit more of a simple battle as I have plenty of strategies to defeat Duraludon. Milotic remains a non-threat as it heals rather than dealing damage, but I take the next turn to do a Yawn Protect combo to shut down Claire's ace. To avoid finally dying to another move, I pivot into Sneaky, who can take a Body Press and is immune to Dragon-type moves. When he comes on the field, he is immune to Milotic's plot to switch us out with Dragon Tail, and Duraludon goes to sleep. From here, Sneaky lowers Duraludon's special defense with Fake Tears, which it can hear through its sleep somehow, and on its next turn, it sustains a much larger damage output from Dazzling Gleam. Whilst it's possible for Duraludon to wake up at any moment, I should be able to take a Flash Cannon with my Eviolite, but Duraludon ends up sleeping for a whole 3 turns, which leads to a standout double knockout from Sneaky. The battle has now reduced to a 2-on-1 in our favour, so Appleton only gets the opportunity to Leech Seed Interesting as it goes down to an Icy Wind, and that concludes the 8th gym. We finally reach level 42 for both Restless and Sneaky, who can evolve into Mr. Rhyme and Grimmsnarl. And then Claire refuses the defeat, prompting us to go to the Dragon's Den to pass a quiz. And we do, so she is obligated to give us the gym badge, and Elm tells us that the Kimono Girls, which we have been helping on throughout our journey, wish to see us. But we go back into the den to defeat the remaining trainers. Except an ace trainer with a Poliwhirl team sadly kills Cooper the Copperaja, which we have barely had on our team and never even got to shine in a boss fight. Sorry I let you down, Cooper. We go to the dance theatre in Ecruteak and fight the Kimono Girls, 5 in a row. They now send out Sylveon, Glaceon and Leafeon instead of the Kanto evolutions. But with a level advantage, we make quick work of them, granting us the Clear Bell, which we can use atop the bell tower to summon Zamazenta, right out of the sky. It goes into a Master Ball and right into the PC. As an untold rule, I will not be using legendaries in this Nuzlocke, even though this is a valid encounter. Finally, we get to move on to Kanto, going through Tojo Falls where we can see a Durant Heatmore standoff. On Route 27, we catch a Sandaconda named Boa and place it on our team. we make our way through Victory Road and train up almost until the Elite Four level cap of 47. Right at the end, our endemic rival, Flu, comes back, but we eradicate him and his team once and for all as we are almost 10 levels above him. I think I might fix this level curve, but as always I will record this in Golden Shield documentation, which you can find in the link below. We also make sure to pick up the Earthquake TM for Boa, and now we are ready to fight the Elite Four. They are the last hurdle in our journey, but have we trained enough to be able to defeat them? Starting with the Psychic type Master Will, he begins with an Orbital, and my strategy is to one-shot the bug with a Strong Jaw boosted Crunch from Finally. Then, I can bait in Xatu, which has 4 times effective Giga Drain, but I am surprised to find out that it outspeeds with a U-turn, which forces me to change tactics on the very first turn of battle. Instead, Hatterene comes out to take the Crunch quite well, and I'm sure it will try to paralyze me, so I use Protect to verify that. Because I don't want Parahacks ruining my fight, I choose to go to Boa, who isn't affected, and it can retaliate with an Earthquake to finish Hatterene off. Next is Mr. Rime with Ice Beam, but our very own Restless can shrug off all the moves from Will's Mr. Rime, as its move pool doesn't have what it takes to KO us. But here, Mr. Rime gets locked into an infuriating Tita dance-off with itself, seemingly predicting all of our switches. It finally gives up and goes for an Ice Beam on Restless, allowing for a final Shadow Ball to KO it. Then, Orbital comes out, and because Restless is slower than Finally, there is no way I am risking losing my Ice type before Lance, so I go back to Finally. Another U-turn reveals Galarian Slowbro, which does not care about Rock Tomb in the slightest. So now it's a Slowking versus Slowbro standoff, as it tries to set up curses, and we hit back with a critical hit Shadow Ball. Orbital greets us for the 3rd time, but weirdly, a 100% accurate Psychic misses us. No idea why, but it means we can land an Icy Wind to lower its speed. It ends up being futile, as Orbital loves to U-turn, so we pivot too, allowing Xatu to be taken on by Interesting, who needs to dish out 2 Shadow Balls whilst avoiding any flinching from the Life Orb boosted Air Slashes. And with that, we can let Sneaky finish the Orbital off with a few false surrenders. For the Poison Ninja Koga, he brings out Toxapex to set up toxic spikes on the field, but even with its monstrous special defense, it is no match for Choice Specs boosted Interesting, who also makes easy work of Toxtricity and Galarian Wheezing. Now it becomes a battle of the Slowkings, which almost wipes out Interesting, because Koga's Slowking disables our Psychic, and because we are locked into Choice Specs, one misclick from me means Interesting struggles and brings itself down to 6 HP. That was too close. Sneaky has to come in and clean up the mess, but Slowking is bulky and does not go down from a false surrender. It is also faster, so it stalls us out by using Disable, and now we have a useless turn as we continue to take poison damage. I get Sneaky out of there and send Restless, who dodges Icy Wind and finishes Slowking with Psychic. It goes to show what a powerhouse Galarian Slowking really is, as 2 of my best mons couldn't take it out. Now, we are in a good position to take out a final Amoonguss and secure us another deathless win. Only just. Now Bruno might be slightly easier, because we have many answers to fighting types, and trying is quite fast too. But when Crabominable comes out, it holds a Focus Sash, ensuring it lives at least 1 turn to get off some damage. We start with Restless, but as we try to set up the fight with a Reflect, Crabominable gets lucky and hits a critical hit Drain Punch, nullifying all of the hard work from Restless. Restless was one of our great answers to Lance, but also one of our most loved members on the team. To go out so soon is sad, and I'm sure everyone will miss Restless in the final fight as we struggle against Lance's strongest Dragon-type Pokemon. With Interesting taking out Crabominable, Single Strike Urshifu comes out, which lands a soft Wicked Blow to Sneaky. As Urshifu is quite broken, you'll be glad to know that it has a fairly nerfed moveset with 50% accurate Dynamic Punch, although I personally experienced what happens when Dynamic Punch actually lands. Persimmon knows Ironhead, So we get out to Trying, who can get it off the field in one air slash. Sirfetch'd follows the same fate, and so does Phalanx, but I can't help but feel that as easy as this battle was, I shouldn't have sent out Restless at the start. We don't even get to give Restless a proper send-off as we are pushed forward to the fight of the last Elite Four member, Karen. I teach Sneaky and Boa how to body press in case things get dicey, but Boa has just learned Coil at level 49, so I think we can set it up against Spiritomb, which has a very gimmicky moveset and cannot do solid damage. Against Tyranitar, the Chopal Berry makes it so that our body press doesn't KO. Another body press and Karen's Grimmsnarl comes out to trick us with a speed lowering Iron Ball. But Earthquake sends it back to the Shadow Realm as I launch another Earthquake on the subsequent Bisharp. Finally, Morpeko comes out. It would have been good if it used Power Trip on Boa at this point, but she opts to annoy Boa with a Flatter instead, but we break through, ensuring no one else in this Nuzlocke dies to their own confusion again. And now we've made it to the final room to find Lance waiting for us. This is the final fight that we have to win, so we can say that we've beaten my own ROM hack. But to do that, we have to prove ourselves against Noivern, which detects danger and U-turns out to Dragapult. I didn't think that Sneaky could dispatch the pseudo-legendary in one Spirit Break, but between Lance's two Dragapults, we don't know if that was the physical one or the special one, as their movesets offer different threats for my team. Archaludon comes out next. This beast comes rocking a great typing with all-round solid stats and stat boosting moves and abilities that make it feel as though we are only one step away from wiping out if we don't tread carefully. Interesting comes out as Archaludon prepares to nail us with an Electro Shot. It raises its special attack and almost halves Interesting's HP as we try to put this staple removing bridge to sleep. Not wanting to risk a stab Dragon Pulse to finish us off, I deliberate who else to switch into, but Boa and Finally do not have the special defense to take any hits from Archaludon, so Sneaky is sent out to deal with the Archaludon as it just prepares for another Electro Shot. But halfway through powering up, it decides to shut down and go to bed, and I send out Boa to take it on in as few hits as possible, as I do not want stamina boosts running rampant and shutting down all of my attacks. Having been asleep for 2 turns, I recognize that Archaludon can wake up the next turn and take us out, and I assist that my best play here is to send out Trying, who has a Focus Sash and can outspeed Archaludon to land a Dragon Pulse. But not to worry, as Archaludon stays asleep for the 3rd turn and Noivern comes back out looking for revenge. Between Trying and Noivern, I don't know who is faster, but baiting Dragon Pulse, I switch and allow Sneaky to finish it with a Spirit Break. Focus Blast has really put us on low health here, so I don't think there is a chance of surviving any hits from Dragapult. It turns out to be the special moveset, as Thunder lands and we fail to take it out with Sucker Punch. Thank you, Sneaky. You did what had to be done, and it's because of you we have even gotten this far. Dragapult shows that it is faster than Trying and almost decimates our health, so it's a good thing that we were holding the Focus Sash. Dracozolt doesn't have a good moveset against Boa, so we U-turn out of there and deal with an immune Thunder Punch rather than a Dragon Claw. One Earthquake is all it takes to dispatch Dracozolt back to the Jurassic era, and Hydrapple comes out as the last Pokemon between my team and the Golden Shield Nuzlocke. To be safe, I fire off a glare that paralyzes Hydrapple, knowing I will go down to a Giga Drain. But Boa proves me wrong as she lives on 11 HP. I show my gratitude by saving it and letting one of our oldest members, Interesting, deal with it. Hydrapple's Fickle Beam lands and puts us from 91 to 55 HP. If the next Fickle Beam turns out to be the full power attack, then it's goodbye to Interesting. But it's not, so we land off one Psychic which lowers Hydrapple's special defense, which means it's enough to take out the Fruity Hydra, and with that, Lance is defeated and we have made our way to the Hall of Fame with 4 team members remaining. Restless. Thank you for showing us how fun Psychic Ice types can be. Sneaky. You took a while to evolve and you struggled to damage opponents, but you really stepped up when it came to taking on Team Rocket, and without you, the Elite Four would have trampled all over us. Finally, after dealing with Will's Orbital and its shenanigans, you got to take a step back and watch your team as they proved themselves, fight after fight, that they can win. Thanks for all your hard work. Trying. As I said, after evolving, you began to do a whole lot more than just trying in life. I hope that after surviving this Nuzlocke and the flu, you can truly start living. Boa, you arrived fashionably late to the team, but with your defense and open-mindedness to move coverage, you were able to single-handedly sweep Karen and bring us one step closer to winning. And interesting, multiple times throughout the run, you walled opponents and showed them no mercy. From finding you at the bottom of the well to climbing up the gym ranks, you became a force of nature. And if you like what you saw, you too can play Golden Shield and try to beat it. Just look in the link below, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video.